Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
It's the Naked Gaming Podcast and we're back for 2021.
Whoop whoop!
Although it's quite far through January, so can you really still say Happy New Year? Or
Yeah.
you think it's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Merry
Christmas. No.
It's your life.
2020 and 2021, I keep writing the wrong numbers down when you have to write the date. I also write 20201. 2021.
You did that the other day.
Oh, so it's hurting my brain.
It's okay, darling. It's all right.
Thanks for your
Take
sympathy.
a nap.
What, right now? I'm recording the pod.
Not yet.
I've also developed a really annoying habit of saying pod instead of podcast. So if I ever say that again...
Do you not like it?
Can you listen to the pod?
Hang on.
That was me slapping myself, but I knocked my headphones off. That's how much I don't like it.
You okay, hun?
Stop saying pod. It annoys me. Although our Twitter is
God.
Naked Gaming Pod. So
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Did you enjoy that? The other thing I just need to update you on is that there is still no PlayStation 5 stock available.
What?
I know I ordered one off the Amazons for £100.
What's the update?
It said it had shipped and it was arrived and it was a tracked delivery.
All right.
Nothing arrived, obviously.
Oh, okay.
It turns out that the £100 PlayStation 5 was in fact a scam.
No way.
Yeah, really? It really was a scam. So I said to Amazon, please can I have my money back? And normally it takes 5 days to get your refund.
You'd know.
Yeah, I do know. Within, I would say, 10 minutes, the money was back in my bank. So they obviously knew. Moving on. We did 2 episodes last month. We did an Xbox Series X special. We will do a PlayStation 5 special when we ever get one. We also did a Christmas special as well. Check it out.
I've always wanted to direct a Star Wars movie, and this movie got the scope of Star Wars. But we're able to do it on a catering budget of a Star Wars movie. And there's something really kind of delicious about that.
You can get them both now. There's a video version of our organised Christmas fun available. It's on YouTube. Just look for The Naked Scientists.
Yes, please subscribe. We're at Naked Gaming Pod on Twitter. Pod, yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is. We're also on Instagram as well.
Check you out on Instagram.
Check me out.
This month we're in another lockdown. Everyone's saying this is the second lockdown.
It's the third
It's the
one.
third, isn't it? Yeah.
Third one.
So anyway,
it's the second wave.
but the third lockdown.
The third lockdown.
I understand. We're going to find out how you can learn if you're stuck indoors and you've got kids, let's say, using your Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, especially if you've got 2 kids and you haven't got enough laptops to go around.
Under your apps, you should see one that has a white E on a blue background. Now, this is the Microsoft Edge browser that you might be familiar with from your Windows PC.
Now, we've just ordered a chess set.
Another one off of that website.
Yeah.
They're getting all my money.
How good are you? How good are you at chess? Are you fairly good?
I think I'm okay at chess. Yeah. Okay. Have you played? Do you know the moves, like how the pieces?
I don't know
move?
the moves.
So you're
and
not
I don't
good, then.
I don't know the place names.
They're just squared. Oh, you
mean
A5?
Exactly. I don't know that. Okay. It's just move it diagonally.
Yeah.
Up, down, across.
What about the horses? What do they do?
Are they the knights?
Yeah. Well, you see, you do know.
You see.
You're so pleased with yourself.
Well, we've ordered one because we spent most of our life watching The Queen's Gambit.
Really good, wasn't it?
Amazing series on Netflix.
Yeah.
But how good is chess artificial intelligence now? Well, we'll be hearing from a woman international master later on in the podcast.
This was built by DeepMind, and it was called Alpha Zero because it had zero human knowledge in it. So the traditional engines might have been told the value of a queen is such and such, and a doubled pawn is worth such and such, and being near the king is such and such.
We also review Hitman 3 as well, the big release of the month. Remember, you can subscribe at Naked Gaming Pods. We're also on Instagram as well. Are we on Facebook?
Yeah, The Naked Scientists, and we put up links to every episode.
We're mainly on
well.
Twitter, though. We tweet a lot on Insta.
And you can see a picture of our new setup with all the boiling hot lights.
Oh, no, fancy pants.
It's
We're
hot,
just
though.
slowly melting away. So let's start off with some gaming news.
I had never asked you this, by the way. I've just given it to you every month. Do you want to do it this month, or do you want to like a break? Because you've
Can I have a break?
Well, because you've been working every day
I
this
know.
week, whereas I've been
I know.
sitting in my pants.
I do everything. I cook. I clean.
No, you don't
I
cook.
clean Bailey's
And look,
poop.
you always
I
say-
also read the gaming news.
No, you say I cook, and then that's immediately a lie, isn't it? What was the last thing you cooked?
You can read the gaming news.
Can you do an introduction for me then?
Oh, right, sorry.
Maybe we should reverse this next time.
If I have to do
Do
this.
a really lackluster introduction to the news.
Okay, here's Chris with the news.
I think you got less in you than that. I think you can give it less.
Go on then, crack on.
Ghost of Tsushima was one of the biggest releases of last year, and fans of the game have been raising money because back in September, one of the Torii gates at the Watatsumi Shrine, which is on the actual island of Tsushima, was badly damaged during a typhoon. Thanks to fans of the game, though, they raised nearly £200,000 to restore the gate. That's 5 times more money than they needed. Now, KFC have announced a console that will play next-generation games and warm chicken. Lots of us thought the so-called KF console was fake when it was first announced, but apparently it is real, and it's being made by a company called Cooler Master. Here's hoping that they re-release the PlayStation 1 classic game Chicken Run. Nintendo have announced a new Mario-themed edition of the Nintendo Switch, which looks nice. The problem is that it's basically just red and blue, so it could easily be Spider-Man themed or Sonic themed. It's out in February, though, if you have spare money. And a man's been fined for breaking lockdown rules after travelling 14 miles to play Pokemon Go. Yes, really. He drove from Bedworth to look for Pokemon in Kenilworth, both places are in Warwickshire, and he was fined £200 by police for contravening the requirements to not leave or be outside the place you live without a reasonable excuse. Sometimes you don't have to catch them all.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you
Wasn't
very
too
much,
bad.
Tim.
It was
Not
all
too-
right.
you
I
know-
give it a 5 out of 10.
You make it look quite easy, though.
I know.
You
I
can
only do it for a living.
You can do it next time.
I am that which you see before you, nothing more.
This is the Naked Gaming Pod with Chris Berrow.
And Leigh Milner. You like that?
Jazz hands.
Now, there's not really, much going on at the moment.
In January, it's very light on the ground.
Not many new releases apart from Hitman 3. And luckily, we got a copy today.
So in Hotman 3, you're a bold killer who goes around...
With your looks.
Yeah, no. He assassinates them with
Death
his
stare.
eyes. I'm
Blue
looking at you.
Steel.
So he's called Agent 47 if you've not played the series before. He's got a barcode on the back of his head. I was thinking, you scan your barcodes for your app that you do with the food. Like, is that good food or a bad food? But what happens if you scan Agent 47's head?
Well, he's a hot man, you see. So you basically scan people's heads to see, how reliable they are, how loyal they are, how are they a good kisser. You get it on the barcode.
That's a
great game.
It's a much better game than perhaps the concept of this one.
Patent that one.
It's quite a basic concept. If you played the other games, it's very similar. So you're walking around buildings. There's 6 maps available in this game. You're this bold assassin, and you go around trying to essentially hit targets.
Can I just say,
Go on.
he's a bold assassin, but he's also a really smartly dressed one. His suit must come from Hugo Boss.
He's got some serious threads.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness me. So it's the same as the first 2 games, but the graphics are a lot better. You saw some of the graphics, actually.
Beautiful.
They look really,
So
really
nice.
nice. We're playing it on the Series X at the moment. 6 new maps. It's the end of the trilogy, so there's the 3 games there. There's a bit of controversy about whether you could play the previous 2 games worth of missions in this game. They originally said, yes, it's fine. It will be available if you've bought the games with us before. And then there was this whole thing about not having access because the game had moved to the EA game store. Anyway, that's all fixed now. So if you pay a bit extra, if you've never bought the originals, you can play all of the backstory. So there's loads of
That's
stuff
good.
there.
You get quite a lot for your money then.
You do, although your money, you have to pay quite a lot for it as well, because you get £50 for Hitman 3, and then it's another 25 quid for the back
Oh,
missions
right,
as
okay,
well.
I
So
see.
so you're looking at 75 quid to play all the missions on the trilogy. But for 3 games worth, that's not bad. The only thing I would say, at this stage, with a game that is number 3 of a series, you know what you're going to do. You're going to kill bad guys in an unusual way. You can drag their bodies away, hide them, change into their clothes and sneak around, stuff like that. The animations, though, when let's say you hit someone with a hammer, they're a little bit jerky. When you're opening a door, he sort of slightly teleports to the position where he then swipes the key card. And I think at this point, after all this time, that really should be fixed. But it's a lot of fun. There's no other games out at the moment. I give it a solid 7. If you're a fan of the series, you've got to go get it. It's available now on all platforms for 50 quid plus 25-ish if you want to play the first 2.
Now, we wanted to look at something that's taking lockdown by storm, and that's chess. Because we bought our own.
Well, the set hasn't arrived yet.
No.
Because there's such demand that it takes 2 weeks to actually arrive.
It's amazing just how much influence a series on Netflix can have. This is, of course, we're talking about The Queen's Gambit.
You can play chess online, of course, on your phone as well, or face-to-face with someone who's in your bubble. At the moment. Hopefully it will get more open than that. But I've never been able to beat the computer at chess. How are you at beating...
I mean, I couldn't beat my nan, so I had no chance against a computer. So she's good.
She's pretty good.
She's good, yeah.
There's lots of developments in chess as well. Recently, artificial intelligence has taken on such a high level that humans simply cannot beat it anymore. It's impossible to beat the top level algorithms, and there's one at the moment called AlphaZero. That's one of the most recent ones that's hugely powerful.
Well, you've been speaking to Natasha Regan, who's a woman international master at chess. She's represented England and co-authored a book called Game Changer, which tells the story of an algorithm that can learn to play chess to an incredible level.
This was built by DeepMind, and it was called AlphaZero, because it had zero human knowledge in it. So the traditional engines might have been told the value of a queen is such and such, and a doubled pawn is worth such and such, and being near the king is such and such. AlphaZero was different. It was sort of self-taught. So it did know the rules of chess. What it did was then play 44 million games at lightning fast speed against itself. And starting completely random. So at first, most of the games would end in a draw because it didn't really know anything about chess and couldn't really make any progress. But by chance, some games would be decisive. And then what it would do is then look at the kind of moves it had played where it had won and try and play a little bit more like that. Look at the moves where it had lost because it was playing against itself, and try and play a little bit less than that. And so then it would kind of play more and more, and then build up a picture of what patterns were good for it, and how to become stronger and stronger. And it was phenomenally successful.
Does it spoil any of the games to have a computer that's almost unbeatable? Because I saw a quote from one, I think it's a Danish chess grandmaster, who said it's like playing against an alien. You know, it's just so good that you almost can't beat it as a human.
I mean, actually in chess for a little while, computers have been stronger than humans. So there was famous match of Kasparov against Deep Blue.
Yes,
it was a two-series match, and Kasparov won the first, and then Deep Blue won the second. So and then after that, computers have got a lot stronger. So kind of people are used to using computers as a tool to help them play chess, as opposed to trying to beat them anymore just because they're so strong.
Is the Queen's Gambit any good? Because I've never played the Queen's Gambit.
Oh, I see the Queen's Gambit as an opening. Yeah. It's
quite. The TV series makes you think it's quite a rarely used opening.
No, it's a common one. You play your pawn in front of your queen, and then the pawn next to that. Let them take it, but if they do, they can't usually hold on to the pawn, or else they have to compromise their position a bit in order to hold on to that pawn. Also, they might decline it. The Queen's Gambit declined is quite a common opening in that then they don't take the pawn, and then you get a normal game.
Yeah. Obviously, we're locked down and people are playing chess, I think, a lot more.
Yes.
How would you hope that would kind of, I suppose, just help to cope with this time? Because it's something that we're really looking forward to. Just playing a board game.
No, it's definitely it's lovely to be able to have this a sort of extra thing you're doing, and you could do it, every day, set a time each day, and play a bit and try and watch your strength improve. Really, really nice. And what we've also found, we because of course you can't play over the board anymore, and everybody's missing that. Yeah. What we had recently was the online British Chess Championship. So we still managed to have a championship. It was sponsored by Kaplan. They kind of made that all happen. And I was one of the commentators for that event. And what was really nice was that actually there was like women's event, junior event, and actually in the women's event and following the Queen's Gambit maybe, but we found a lot of players who hadn't played for a number of years came back because it was online and convenient. Also, a lot of junior players played. And so we got actually a really very vibrant women's championship there, with new players and old players mixing, all the age groups mixing. And one young girl, she called Nina Perch, she did brilliantly. She came second in the whole event, and so it was sort of allowed sort of new talent to shine in a way you actually might not have seen that with over the board chess. So it does give some new opportunities as well to people.
Thanks to Natasha Regan, woman international master and co-author of Game Changer. And there's a longer version of that chat coming in the next week or so, so keep your eye out for that.
It makes me want to play chess even more.
I know. Come on!
I want our board to arrive. As the COVID-19 pandemic unfortunately continues, lots of schools and universities have been closed, or at least there's a lot of remote learning going on.
They've had to, get loads of laptops in. They've had to set up Zoom. They've had to set up classes that work virtually rather than in a classroom.
Well, I think that it's worth saying that if you have 2 or 3 or 4 kids, like, I've got 3 younger brothers, having 4 laptops, you're not going to have 4 laptops,
No.
but you might have a PlayStation.
That's right. Dr. Chris Headland, who's director of the School of Computer Science at the University of Lincoln, which I know very well.
Yeah.
Great university. You might remember him because he's been on the podcast before, talking about the virtual version of the university last year. Well, he's back to talk through how to help kids access learning materials through your game console.
If you don't have a laptop to spare, or you have 2 kids and only 1 computer, you'll be pleased to hear that you can access learning materials through a console, and it's going to be a lot easier than you might think. First, you need to connect your console to the internet. This can either be done by plugging it directly into the router with an Ethernet cable, or by connecting through Wi-Fi. You've probably already done this, as this is how the internet is how we get most of our games these days. Once you've connected, you need to head to the browser on the console so you can access learning materials that you need. On the PlayStation, look for an app with the letters www, and that should take you through to an internet browser. On the Xbox, under your apps, you should see one that has a white E on a blue background. Now, this is the Microsoft Edge browser that you might be familiar with from your Windows PC. On the Nintendo Switch, there's also a web browser in there, but it's a little bit more complicated to access and set up. But there's loads of really easy to follow guides on the internet, and I recommend you go out and have a look at those if that's the console that you're working with. Now, if you don't want to use your console's controller, because let's be honest, they are fantastic for playing games, but they're useless for almost every other activity, including typing. You should be able to connect a keyboard and mouse to the USB ports on the front or the back of the console, and they should be immediately picked up. So now you're ready to go, and you can use your Xbox, PlayStation, Switch as a way of accessing education materials from your school. Now, remember, there are also loads of free, great learning materials available online, such as BBC Bitesize, and some universities are also producing content for school children. At Lincoln, we have free resources all over our website, our YouTube page. You might just need to contact your local university and ask them what they've got available.
Thanks, Dr. Chris Headland, and we're planning an education special, actually, aren't we, on the podcast in the next few weeks or so, so make sure you look out for that.
Snake, what's wrong? Snake! Snake!
This is quite a sad story, really, in a way. It's about a 25-year-old
Called ZooMaa.
called ZooMaa, which is a great name, by the way.
Especially in this age of Zoom.
And he's actually had to retire at the young age of 25 from his gaming career because of a thumb injury. Now, you know more about this, don't you, Chris?
It sounds a bit silly, doesn't it, that a thumb injury could take you out from playing computer games, but actually it's quite an interesting story, and this guy's had a really interesting career. I actually spoke about this to someone called Phil Williams from BBC Berkshire earlier on this week, so check out. This is a kind of explainer of what's going on.
It's BBC Radio Berkshire, and we know that sportsmen and women have relatively short careers, but you don't expect people who play on computer games to be forced into retirement before they reach 30. Sadly, that's just happened to world-class gamer Thomas ZooMaa Paparatto. A 25-year-old is stepping down due to a hand injury. So is this an occupational hazard? Well, earlier I spoke to fellow BBC presenter and host of the Naked Gaming podcast, Chris Berrow.
Imagine playing computer games with a controller for 8 hours a day. So it's not just like sitting at a desk, you can have a little screen break. These elite athletes, and they really are elite athletes, have been training on a computer, sitting there on a video game console for 8 hours a day. Now, imagine the strain on your thumbs, particularly, because this ZooMaa, you did say it right, actually, this Thomas ZooMaa Paparato, he's a controller player, and he plays one of the biggest games of all time, Call of Duty, which is a first-person shooter. And how that works is you're in a team of people, let's say, 6 people in some competitions. You're going head-to-head with other teams, and you need to have the reactions of a cat. You need to be able to move out the way, dodge, run, snipe people from a distance. It's all about having extremely quick reactions. Now, he's a very elite player. He's been training for 8 years, which is actually quite a long time. And this thumb injury is exactly as you might expect. It's a repetitive strain injury that he's had for many years, actually. He's even had surgery on his thumb in order to actually get himself back to the top level of competition. So I think he struggled back and came back to kind of approaching the top of his game, but this problem just simply hasn't gone away. So sadly today, as you say, 25 years old, he's retiring from professional gaming.
That's it. We're out of podcasts.
Oh.
But I just want to remind you that there's another episode coming in the next few weeks about chess, a longer interview with Natasha Regan, who's the Women International Master of Chess, who's played for England. So look out for that in the next week or two. It will be there for you. And we're also going to do an education special soon, and we'll be back on Feb the 21st for our next full episode. Hi, Bailey.